himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Newhoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the out pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn, so there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. And Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
They say all good things must come to an end, and unfortunately the thing in question is the Sim Racing for Simpletons, the first season of its Formula 3 Championship. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, where we go for one final time to decide the championship here in Silverstone. We've battled our way across the last 8 weeks, spanning all the way back to the Red Bull Ring on April 22nd. Since then, we've travelled around the globe to some of the world's best venues, and, well, we've seen some of the world's best racing with these guys around numerous venues and so much action to dissect. And unfortunately, as I say, it is going to be coming to an end with round 8 live from Silverstone. But I'll be honest, I can't really name a better venue to bring us to. My name, of course, is Sweeney. I've got James Parfitt alongside me in the commentary booth to bring you each and every single bit of action that comes our way. And, well, James, as I said, Silverstone, it's a circuit that is so historic, and in Formula 3 machinery, should be some pretty good racing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a really great end to what has been an absolutely epic season. It's going to be exciting. People know what they've got on the line here, Zach. They know what they've got to go forward for, and they know what they've got to do. But here is the current championship standards for you, sir.
Coming into the day, obviously, Carson Keane, after Alexander Rivera, you can see him down in 6th place. He's had a couple of absences, and it's been Carson Keane that stepped up to the occasion. A bit of a mishap, though, Carson Keane. Unfortunately, we wish him the best of recoveries. Had surgery yesterday, so he's not going to be taking part today, which means all eyes are now on Mackenzie Roone, Michael Brooks, and Daniel Whitfield, all of whom can come out with the championship today. Mackenzie Roone, though, is, of course, the man with the best chance. 129 points to Carson Keane's 148. That means he is going to need a 3rd place plus the point for pole position as to not lose the championship on countback. Plenty of ways Michael Brook and Daniel Whitfield can come out on top as well. Also, Mokiko, let's not forget, she can also make a step and potentially see herself in the mix. But as I say, Alexander Rivera has taken a couple of wins this season. We can see him in the YouTube chat. He's in 6th. Lucas Finko, Seth MacFarlane, Dominic Angelico, and Yoel Dutton, the top 10, with the rest of the field. You can see Patience, Curto, Payne, Rude, and Long to round off the 15-strong field, and then Carl Matheson and Shane Larson, of course, the bottom 2 in the championship. It is incredibly close, and the fact that we don't have Carson Keane here to defend his championship lead means that all eyes are on the 3 in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be between Roone, Brooks, and Whitfield. I don't think Kiko can quite get there. I've tried working it out with the 26 points that are available. That is 25 for the win and pole. That would still put her on 147. Indeed. So she's not going to be able to get there as well. So it is going to be between Whitfield, Brooks, and Roone. But we saw last time out at Laguna Seca how well Roone did there. You know, he took the race win by 21 seconds. He is on a mission, and I wouldn't be surprised if he walks away with pole and he walks away with a win and he walks away with a championship. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't do that here. He's looking the quickest overall currently at the moment on a best time of a 1:51.43. So he's flying here just before we go into qualifying. So my money is on Roone this evening, and I'm not even going to wait till qualifying like you do, young Zachary.
Okay, well, fair enough. To each their own. I think absolutely Mackenzie Roone has been a formidable driver throughout the course of this season. It was strange that he has only been able to take 1 win so far this season at Laguna Seca. His average finish is 2nd place. His average start is 2nd place. And you take that consistency and you compile it all season long. He has been on a mission, and it comes down to this. The pressure is on. But also Michael Brooks only 3 points behind. Daniel Whitfield a further 3 behind that. If things go amiss for Mackenzie Roone, obviously drop score rounds and things taken into account, of course that will be dealt with by the stewards and making sure that all the championship standings are correct. But what we can see at face value right now is that we've got 3 drivers within contention. I would say that all 3 of them have got a shot, not just mathematically, but also realistically, also on the circuit. They can step up and rise to the occasion. But for once, I am probably going to have to agree with you that Mackenzie Roone might be the one that will come out on top in terms of the championship, purely because he's coming off the confidence of that. He's the one that's closest to Carson Keane in terms of a points total. And he is just, with each apex he takes, each corner that he goes through in that Formula 3 car, it just seems like he's growing and growing and growing, going from strength to strength.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing an absolutely stellar job currently at the moment here as well. And I think at the end of the day, he's going to be tough to beat. You know, people aren't going to be able to go out there and win and dominate. He's got to be able to try and... They've got to try and get in front of him. The likes of Brooks, the likes of Whitfield, they've all got to put in a lap of their life. They have to get in front of him. If they don't get in front of him, they're going to be in trouble, because they didn't do it in Laguna, and you saw what happened. He dominated that race, and they don't want that to happen again. They've got to pull out all the stops. I don't care how they do it. They've got to get in front of him. If they don't get in front of him, Roone all the way, pole, win, championship done. Good evening, Mr. Rivera. Welcome in. And Phil, of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us there as well. And it is an absolute pleasure to have you. And as always, Mr. Phil across the pond, thank you so much. But there you go. That's my prediction.
Fair enough. Cool. I mean, I don't think we're a million miles away from that. Absolutely not. I think that is going to be the sort of the dynamic of racing that we see here at Silverstone. Right now, we are into a 10-minute qualifying to see the drivers put their best step forward, their best lap times in that they possibly can. And then obviously to decide their starting positions for the final race here today in Silverstone. Silverstone as a circuit, though, it's often one that we love as motorsport fans. Mm-hmm. It's fast, it's flowing. You've got the braking zones, you've got the medium speed, you've got the high speed. In terms of sheer overtaken, though, sometimes people do struggle, especially in high downforce cars, because you think how quick these Formula 3 cars are. Where are they braking? Village at turn 3, Stowe for a little bit, and then of course the Vale chicane. All 3 of them realistically aren't that heavy of a braking zone. So where do you make those moves, and is that going to mean that qualifying is of vital importance here today?
Qualifying will be important, right? Partly because what you don't want to happen, you haven't got DRS on these cars, right? The Formula 3's got nothing. But you do get this draft train where they are all being pulled along and at times at the same speed. So you never really make gains going forward. You've got to think, okay, where am I going to get this? You've got to be looking at the run out of Abbey and through Farm. But Abbey is such a dangerous corner to try and get faster than what you are pushing at the moment. Because once you go out on the outside of that, there is a nice little tiny bit of grass waiting for you out the side of there. So you've got to be careful going through there. Can you get him on the run from Aintree down to Brooklands? Possibly, but your run out of Aintree better be absolutely spot on, and you don't want to be out over on the rumble strips on the curb and out onto the outside there as well, because again, it's going to cause you problems. On the way down into Free Maggots and Beckett's, don't even think about it. Forget it. Go through there single file and then run him down the Hanger Straight and look at your exit out of Chapel. If you can get out of Chapel and down the Hanger Straight, you might get it down into Stowe. Your best bet, and probably a place that you might want to be able to go, is if you can run that inside line round Stowe and get the run into Club Chicane. If you can get the run into the Club Chicane, you can be side by side, you can go side by side, so that could be an opportunity for most people. But we will only see, and time will tell what these drivers are going to do, because there isn't a massive gap. 1 second between first and fourth, and then it goes down into the 53s and 54s. So at the moment, Daniel Whitfield is putting it on pole position.
He is indeed. Of course, Mackenzie Roon is not far away at all, and Michael Brooks in the mix as well. I don't think we really could have crafted a better top three so far in this qualifying session. Still, though, we have got people setting their last couple of laps and things as well. So we will wait and see how the session progresses and people trying to maybe improve. But it is boding quite well, particularly, as you say, with the strength of the slipstream and how effective that is going to be at keeping everyone in touch and making sure that we aren't going to be too spread out at all. One mistake and it could all be over. But the thing I love about Silverstone is just the precision that you have to have around a circle like this. You cannot lose concentration one bit, otherwise it will spit you out. It's from corner to corner, making sure that as soon as you're through one, you're thinking, right, next, what's next? How do I tackle it? Because well, yes, you've got a couple of long straights to sort of breathe and dissect it a little bit. The circuit itself, once you're in the mix, once you're in the flow, it's such a fun circuit just to chuck the car around. And I think these drivers are going to have to activate as much focus as they can because, particularly for the top three, it's the race of their season. This is the one to decide it all. But just in general, just getting around the circuit requires a ton of focus if you want to maintain a good speed.
Oh, Patience goes over the line on a 1:52.689 as he starts going down into turn one into Abbey there. So he pops over the line. Mackenzie Roon has got purples going across the board currently at the moment. Here he goes, going to go over the line as well. What is Roon going to be able to do? Pole 1:51.593. Whitfield must have thought he put the lap in of his life there, Zach. Roon comes along and says, no, 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 it's mine.
Yeah, indeed so. Brilliant stuff from Mackenzie Roon, but let's have a look as to what Daniel Whitfield can do. He was slightly quicker to the first sector, just shy of 2 tenths slower to the second, though, Daniel Whitfield. So we'll wait and see what he can do. Through Luffield, of course, the corner that you can take a million different lines in. Of course, there's the one where we just saw Daniel Whitfield take, go wide, cut in again, or cut in, go wide, cut in again. You can hold it right around the outside, or you can go wide and then cut in just once. Very good stuff. And look at that through Cox Corner. That is way too much steer and lock, though. A buttload of understeer. Yeah, so much.
And that's the thing with that, Zach. You saw him throw it left to put it right. You know, it was almost like Lightning McQueen.
Flick.
Yeah, it's the Lightning McQueen. You got to turn it left to go right. You know what I mean? And that's not how you do that. You kind of get the car lined up and then you throttle it through. I wouldn't be flicking left or right on that one because he would have got a big old off track as Mr. Whitfield on that one, and I wouldn't be surprised if this lap doesn't count, young sir.
I would be inclined to agree. Maybe this was a bit of a write-off this lap, and maybe he's gearing himself up for one final run, but he's got to be quick because he's not actually got that long left in the session to do so. So I think we might well see Mackenzie Roon from Daniel Whitfield on the front row. Getting told from Alex Rivera about how strong the slipstream is, but on the flip side of that, you've got the slipstream, which is great on a straight line, but then following another car, the wake, the dirty air behind through a circuit like Silverstone. Actually, it is a topic we need to cover because we talk about how fun it is to drive, how fast and flowing it is, but that fast and flowing nature demands a lot of the aerodynamic capabilities of these cars. And well, if you're stuck in the dirty air, you're not getting as much aerodynamic capability out of the car, and maybe that is where we could see some discrepancies, people struggling to get a pass, because if you try and gear up a move, say out of Maggots and Beckett's and going down the hanger straight, if you get a wash of understeer beforehand, you're not going to be doing anything.
No. That's the problem. That's why I said it was so important trying to come out of that, because if you don't come out of it close enough to be able to actually efficiently use the draft, you know, you don't want to come out. There's almost like a 2 meter, 3 meter gap behind a car where you kind of have got two options to be. You either want to be outside of that, so you can pull in and use the draft going forward, or you want to be tucked right behind under his bumper, his gearbox before you've even gone anywhere. Partly because you don't want that dirty air washing over your car. It unsettles the car. It doesn't allow it to, you know, get full maximum potential out of it. You've got to be trying to stay as close as you can through here. You can take a little bit more curb on the right hand side there, not by much, but you can take probably another tyre length over that little line there as well before you start getting into off-track slowdown territories. So for Whitfield's point of view, he probably could have taken just a little more to push it so he's got that bigger run coming out. But we will only see how this gets on and see what he does here. Needs to be careful there because nearly all four wheels were over the line, and he nearly wouldn't have counted that lap whatsoever here as well. But it's going to be an interesting one, I think, here. And Whitfield, Roon and Brooks, I'm expecting them to have a good three-way fight. If they let Roon get out in front, though, it's game over.
Indeed, so maybe we could see an element of Whitfield and Brooks almost working together to not allow Roon to get away. In my personal experience, I did some Formula 4 races here at Silverstone over the course of 2022, and what happened, the danger was we were fighting so hard for a podium, the two leaders were able to just run away with things out in front. By the time we got to the end of the race, the damage was done and there's nothing you can do. So Whitfield and Brooks, they're going to have to be looking out as to keep each other company and making sure they keep Mackenzie Roon company. But after 10 minutes of qualifying, this is the grid for round 8 of the Sim Racing for Simpletons finale here in Silverstone. Mackenzie Roon, Daniel Whitfield share the front row with Michael Brooks and Brian Long just in behind. Only a second covering the top 5 with Modelese Kiko and Ian Patience sharing row 3. Lucas Finko, Seth MacFarlane, Carl Matheson and Ian Rood, the top 10 and the 10-car strong field that we've got here today. Moments away then from getting ourselves for 25 laps of racing action. Roon, Whitfield, Brooks, 1, 2 and 3 on this field. And well, they're 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the championship. The only bunch that can top Carson Keane out in front. And Keane obviously has had a surgery. He might be hoping that, well, all these three sort of smack into each other and Patience goes on to win.
That would be his ideal scenario, right? I'm not going to lie. For Carson Keane, he would be an interesting factor if that actually did happen. You know, from our point of view, we hope it don't, because we really want to see Roon, Whitfield and Brooks go at it. But from Keane's point of view, that's his ideal scenario. That's what could really get him into the fight, you know, and get him that victory, because they still need 19 points. And 19 is only 3rd place. So at the moment, Roon is on pole, so he's already got 1. So he's on 130, so he needs 18 points, which is 4th. Well, really, he needs 3rd place from his point of view. So them three crashing into each other and going to the back of the field, that's an ideal scenario for Carson Keane, who's probably sitting at home, you know, wishing something like that might have happened. But only time will tell as we get on.
Yeah, indeed. So, well, the fibre lights will come on. The safety car will peel us round for the final rolling start of the season. And we don't get the full formation lap around Silverstone like we did at Laguna Seca. You get 2 corners to prepare the tyres, to prepare the brakes, and that's it. You're underway.
Yeah, they're going to be coming through Club and then out that run of Club, and then it's going to be all go, go, go. So let's see how these guys get on. Pace car will nip in there. There's the pit lane as well. So that's going to dive off into the pit lane it goes. So Mackenzie Roon currently, Zach, is your leader of the race and your pace car.
He is indeed. So everyone has to follow a 99 machine. 2nd place in the championship. 3rd place is all he needs to seal the deal in the championship. But what can Daniel Whitfield, what can Michael Brooks do in behind? The green flag will soon be waved. The Sim Racing for Simpletons, the last 2 months of racing has built up to this moment. We go green flag running in Silverstone, and we wait for Mackenzie Roon to put his foot flat to the floor, and that run in towards Abbey. You can see Whitfield and Brian Long trying to get into the mix as well, wide off the circuit. Oh my word, Michael Brooks trying to feed into play as well. Brian Long going side by side, but I think Daniel Whitfield has been able to get the jump over Mackenzie Roon in towards finish for the first time. There's a lock-up, oh my goodness me, and Brian Long is sent in deeply to the outside. If they go into the, oh my word. And Brian Long is sent round. Michael Brooks is sent round as well in the initial moments. Oh my word, too late into the brakes, so close to contact. And then eventually they did come to contact.
Yeah, and that is what happens there as well. Oh my dear, there's a massive one there. McFarlane, Kiko, Patience, Long, Finko, Rood, all involved in the aftermath of that. And that was basically a huge one here for these guys as well. So it's going to be definitely not an ideal scenario, one that hopefully these guys will settle down. But it is still Whitfield out in front currently at the moment with Mackenzie Roon.
Yep, they share each other company. 4.5 seconds clear of the rest of the pack as well. Here comes Mackenzie Roon trying to move his way back ahead of Daniel Whitfield. We've seen the Whitfield family tree join us in the YouTube chat plenty of times over the course of the season. But what can he do in order to maybe go for victory, maybe even the championship as well? As it stands, he's 6 points behind Mackenzie Roon coming into this race, which means that he's going to have to take the win, with Mackenzie Roon finishing 4th to be able to win the championship, which is a tough ask for Daniel Whitfield, it must be said, but never say never. I think, championship aside, Daniel Whitfield just wants to end the season on a win.
Yeah, it definitely does as well there. And bear with us, guys. We will get the time and tower back up very, very shortly. And hopefully we will be able to bring it up for you. Just give us 2 little seconds here as the wonderful world of tech issues play havoc once more, but Dan Whitfield is still out in front currently at the moment with Mackenzie Roon, and hopefully we should be able to get you back to live pictures currently at the moment as well here, Zach.
Yeah, well, you'll have to bear with us. Unfortunately, the technical difficulties continue to never be on our side, which is a shame, but obviously we're only human. There's not really much that we can do if iRacing and SDK don't really want to play ball with us, but we'll get the graphics up to you as soon as possible. What we can tell you, though, is we are now on to lap 2 of 25. Daniel Whitfield leads Mackenzie Roon, Lucas Finko and Michael Brooks the top 4, with Brian Long just in behind. Ian Rude, Seth McFarlane, Model East Kiko, Ian Patience and Carl Matheson round off the field. And back to the live action, you can see in towards Brooklands corner, and Daniel Whitfield still commanding the way out in front. He's got so much pressure from Mackenzie Roon in behind. But that's the thing, if you're in Roon's position right now, you're winning the championship. He's doing enough to win. Why risk it and push for the race lead when you potentially know that Daniel Whitfield isn't really going to pose much of a threat unless you yourself make a mistake? So if you're in Roon's position, what do you do? Do you go for the win and risk it all, or do you just sit in second?
Well, in an ideal world, he needs to go, from Roon's point of view, he really wants to get ahead of these guys. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he doesn't want to be in that situation where he's taking that chance and bringing it, you know, down to the wire. He kind of wants to get ahead and really be able to progress through. He needs to be pushing on. He can't afford to just sit there and wait. He's got to be able to, you know, really go for it. And I think at the moment that's what Dan Whitfield is doing, and hopefully he will be able to manage to stay where he is currently at the moment.
Only time will tell. As well, here we go. I think the fight has kickstarted. Indeed it has. Mackenzie Roon trying to peel his way up the inside of Daniel Whitfield. Retakes the race lead then of the Sim Racing for Simpletons Formula 3 Championship. Round 8 here in Silverstone. The fight back from Whitfield in towards Village Corner though. And he did have a bit of a look, but not quite brave enough on the brakes. Now it's crunch time for Whitfield. He needs to keep the pressure applied. Through the loop, get the run, use the slipstream, sit in his mirrors, make Roon defend, even if it's defending thin air. Make him slow himself down, make it so he's looking in his mirrors, looking over his shoulders, thinking, where is Whitfield? What is he doing? Is he putting any pressure on? Because as soon as Roon feels secure, as soon as he feels like he doesn't need to defend, that's when he's going to run away. You've got to put the pressure on. You've got to make him look behind, because the more time he looks behind, the less time he's focused on getting out in front.
And Whitfield needs to be quali lap, quali lap, quali lap, quali lap, quali lap, quali lap. That's what he needs to do. He cannot get out of this draft. If he gets out of this draft, Roon is gone. And at the moment, Roon is on 155 in their current positions here. Whitfield at the moment is sitting in second place and is going to be on 145. So he will not take this championship. Roon will take the championship, and Whitfield has got to try and stay as close as he can. If he doesn't manage to stay in that draft, which he's hanging on at the moment. He is a man teetering on the edge of a cliff currently, gripping it by fingertips, but he's got to find a way to get closer, because if Roon breaks that 8/10 gap, that 8/10 barrier, game over. Roon's going to be gone, because Whitfield's not going to have the draft. Roon's going to be out in front, and Roon's going to say, thank you very much, championship mine.
Absolutely. I mean, Whitfield has got to be careful, but the pressure is on, obviously, not only for the championship or for the race win, but as I touched on earlier, the family tree is here. We've got Shayla, we've got Lucy, we've got Susan. I think it's either wife or girlfriend, then we've got the sister, then we've got the mum. So we've got all the important female figures in his life, all cheering him on and making sure that he is, well, staying on top of his game. And, well, as a driver, the last thing you want to do is put on a poor show for your family. I'm sure they'll love him regardless, because, well, they're kind of forced to. They've got to, yeah. It's going to be an awkward dinner around the dinner table if Daniel Whitfield doesn't win this race. So he's got to step up the game. He's got to push on, as you say, quali lap upon quali lap. But also with that does carry a risk in of itself, because there's an extent where he is pushing too hard. And he has got to be careful not to step over the limit. He needs to be 98, 99, 99.5% of what the car can be capable of, but not 100, not overstepping the mark, because then it's fair game. He's handing this race on a silver platter to Mackenzie Roon.
I disagree with you. And I disagree partly because of what's on stake. Whitfield you've got the attitude, right? You can either sit back and say, I didn't 100% go for it. I didn't give my best. I only pushed 95%. Therefore, that's why I lost, right? Or you could sit there and say, I went for it. I flew all or nothing, 100% come out of that car, and I still couldn't get past Mackenzie Room. Mackenzie Room was just quicker. You leave something on the table, then it's going to go all wrong. You know, you've got to give it everything you've got, because you don't want to walk away from the race and think, I left something on that table. He can't afford to do that, and he can't afford to do it now when Rune is currently out in front as well. So he's got to give it his all. He's got to give it everything. Don't leave nothing out there. It's like a footballer. Leave it all on the pitch. Don't bring it off with you, because if you bring it off with you, you'll regret what you did the day after.
Hindsight is a powerful thing, and it's one that can really eat away at the mental state of a driver. Virtually matched on that last lap. Mackenzie Roone setting the pace with a 1:51.707. Daniel Whitfield going to a 1:51.770. So, not much in it between the pair of them at all, but Whitfield losing that second margin now to Mackenzie Roone. That's dangerous territory, not because of the DRS, but because of the slipstream. No DRS in these Formula 3 cars, of course, but some fairly powerful slipstream. So Whitfield is going to be riding on a mistake potentially, and while that happens, we've got a good old fight for the podium here as well. Lucas Finko versus Michael Brooks, who unfortunately was tagged in the early moments of this Grand Prix and has been on a fight back ever since. He's worked his way back up to fourth and is looking to work his way onto the podium. Unfortunately, I think it is going to be a bittersweet podium because, well, Michael Brooks would much rather be in that train with Roone and Whitfield.
Yeah, definitely there as well. Big shout out to Jacob, who must be Dan's nephew, because it's Jacob Obot 3000. Love it. Good luck, Uncle Dan. So,
how did you figure that one out? He's his nephew.
Uncle Dan.
Wow, that
and
Jacob, so intelligent.
Jacob, I'm probably presumptuous of gender, but Jacob generally is a boy's name, and Dan being obviously his uncle, Uncle Dan, put it together that his nephew was cheering him on. Now, I am a parent, so I probably got a better idea than you have regarding that one.
I'm so proud of you, James.
Thank
Honestly,
you.
That was really well thought through. Yeah,
I put a lot of thought process into that.
I bet. It's almost like Susan Whitfield is his mum, I reckon, as well. Yeah. Anyway.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. So
Shyla's sister, girlfriend?
I don't know. It's one of the two.
All right, we're gonna have. Can we get it in the chat, Shyla? What relations are you to
Dan?
Dan?
Is she not wearing a wedding dress and a YouTube profile picture? I don't know. I think we're overthinking this a little bit too much.
I know, but I'm just saying you want to get it right. It's like me with the Spainhauer family who come in for the BSc. Ha! Yes, you're right, James. Woohoo! Winner, winner, chicken dinner. One for me.
Small things. The smallest of wins, please.
Oh, he's got round. Finko went round. Too much on the power there, young sir. I'm going to try and give you a replay. Hopefully it works. And unfortunately for him, too many on the gas. As they say, too many beans, young Zachary.
Yeah, far too many. Oh, wow, that is unfortunate from Lucas Finko.
Yeah.
007 is not going to be winning any prizes for being a top-notch secret agent with that one because, well, he has completely fumbled that podium. Did the Aston Martin livery Formula 3 machine, hands the baton to Michael Brooks, who allows himself back onto the podium. Easy mistake to make, though, it must be said, because these Formula 3 machines, they weigh virtually nothing relative to what they are. They've got a ton of horsepower, I think sort of 300-400 brake horsepower, something in that range. Obviously, no ABS, no traction control, nothing to stop the car from over-spinning the wheels, over-rotating the wheels. You are completely on your own. You're completely isolated as a driver. I don't even think they've got power steering. Not that matters too much in the sim world because you can just turn your force feedback down. But it emphasizes the point that in cars like these, you are completely isolated. You're in the cockpit, and that emphasizes a lot on driver skill. You've got to be so careful applying the throttle because the moment that you have that small lapse in judgment, as Lucas Finko just proved, well, around you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Shyla is the wife. So Lucy is the sister, and I'm mum. And Jacob, your mum. Hold on. I'm mum, Lucy's sister, mum's mum to Jacob, but Jacob's the nephew of Dan, isn't he? Or is Dan the son-in-law? Could that be the thing? Could Dan be the son-in-law? So
Susan's the mum.
Yeah, I've got that.
Lucy's the sister, and is mum to Jacob. So Jacob is Lucy's son. And by extension then, because Lucy is...
See, I read that Susan was the mum, so therefore I'm thinking that Whitfield might be the son-in-law. Oh, I don't know. This is all getting very complicated. I need like a half diagram here, I think, by this point.
He needs a family tree.
Yeah, I need a family tree. I'm going to need a picture of something by the end of this. Otherwise, I'm going to go out away with an headache here as well. And unfortunately, one man that has got a headache is Mr. Ian Patience, who has unfortunately just taken a divert off the track. And I got a funny feeling it was under his own doing down into club. It was. Unfortunately for Mr. Patience, so not ideal, but there we go. Up and running. Mr. Whitfield has got 1.8 second gap now, and he's losing a little bit of time to Mr. Roon. I'm not going to lie here, Zachary. He needs to pull quality laps out one after the other.
He does indeed. Yeah, he needs to dispatch this back marker of Carl Matheson and then find himself trying to slingshot his way. Just shy of 2 seconds now is the gap to Mackenzie Roon. Nothing really separating them as much. Obviously 2 seconds and a few car lengths. But a small mistake from Mackenzie Roon, a bit of a lock-up like we just saw there from Matheson. All of that changes. You know, it's, as I say, when you're so isolated in cars like these, it's so easy for that small bit of brake bias to be slightly too far front. You put a bit too much brake pressure on the front's lock, you go deep, you've ruined your tyres for a few corners, maybe even a lap, maybe even for the stint. That's when Daniel Whitfield can come back into things. Like we said, I think it was literally yesterday with some touring cars about staying in it, being in it to win it, not giving up at all. You need to be in it to win it. You can never halt your progress, because at the drop of a pin, things can go so wrong for the driver in front of you. And if you've backed off, you're going to be the one kicking yourself that you've not been able to make the most of that situation.
And that is exactly what we were talking about earlier on with 100% all the time. He cannot be anything else. Cannot leave it on the table. Alex Rivera has just put James's mum. So I'm not even sure how I've worked that one out. Susan, now I'm crying and laughing. I'm Lucy, and Daniel's mum, his Auntie Mary, is watching my... Oh my God, blimey, there's more. There's Auntie Mary involved as well now. That's it. I'm totally confused.
It's fine. You can just see my family tree. I'm from Norfolk, so it's just a straight line down.
Mate,
so
I need pictures now. That's it. It's all going a little bit wrong for me, because I've got Auntie Mary's involved now as well. And it's all getting a little bit confusing what is going on here. I'll tell you what, they all just sound like they're all mum to Jacob and Daniel. That's it. That's what I'm clarifying currently at the moment. I think I'm drastically wrong, but it is all going. There's aunties and where's the uncles? I'm waiting for you to start pinning uncles on me, and then I'm definitely lost what's going on. But don't forget, guys, these have got the pit stops as well, Zach, so that should be able to bring them closer.
Potentially so. Yeah, we've seen a couple of times this season how the effect of the pit stops can change things. Obviously, we will only see one stop. They can make it on just a splash and dash in the middle. They don't necessarily have to take tyres, so just in, fuel up, off you go again. But the difference is actually circumstance, you know, coming in a little bit earlier, coming in a little bit later, avoiding traffic, things like that. And making the most of some clear air. I mean, Daniel Whitfield has maybe been experiencing a bit of dirty air. Maybe his tyres have overheated a little bit. Maybe if he comes into the pits, cools them down in the pit lane, because it's a very long and a very slow pit lane here in Silverstone. One of the longest and slowest, I think, in sim racing, apart from probably the Spa Endurance pit lane. It's a long time, so it's a long time for the tyres to cool down. It's a long time for you to get back out there and actually show what you can do. So we'll see what the pit stop times are like. I think the main thing, though, time difference-wise, is going to be who's going to save enough fuel. And you might be thinking, well, they're going to come into the pit lane to top up anyway, so why does saving fuel matter? It's not a 12-hour race where it's like, oh, if we save a lap here and a lap there, then we're going to have that knock-on effect. It still matters, even in these Formula 3 sprint races. If you can save a litre of fuel, if that, you can save a second in the pit lane, because that's a litre of fuel that you don't then need to put back into the tank to get to the end. So if Whitfield can save a bit of fuel, maybe we can see a shorter pit stop. Maybe we can at least see him get back into the slipstream range. That is a bit far-fetched and clenching at short straws sort of thing here. But I would have to say that might be Daniel Whitfield's only hope of clawing back some time.
I agree with you. He's got to try now. He's either got to do two options here. Carl Matheson is out, unfortunately. Unfortunately, though, he did do this in the process. So he did exit with out through the door on his own, and that's one way of going off. And then he did it again, not further after as well. And he's probably sitting there thinking, I hate Silverstone about now, as he goes and spins around, does a lovely pirouette in the process. And then, unfortunately, he's called it a day, and he is out. Kiko is climbing up to Seth MacFarlane, so these guys are coming in as well. We'll keep an eye on the front battle, and hopefully Whitfield might be able to do something in the pit stops. I think, are we looking at that's probably going to be his best opportunity, Zach, I think?
Maybe. Potentially. Alex Rivera's come into the YouTube chat and said saving some tyres for the end could have a big impact, which again is true, because these guys are doing 25 laps on a set of tyres, which a circuit like Silverstone, he compared it to the Circuit Americas, which is, funnily enough, actually based quite heavily on Silverstone. You think the S's, and it sort of takes bits and pieces from around the world. And Kota, as a driving style, is fairly similar to Silverstone in that regard. And if you can save some tyres towards the end of the race, if you've got that little 5% extra wear that you can use better than sort of the car in front, maybe you can have a second wind of pace and push yourself back onto the back end. So it is all about making sure that you make the most of your tyre wear, your tyre deg, and minimising it more than anything. The problem is, though, is that in qualifying, we saw Daniel Whitfield using quite a lot of steering angle through some of the high-speed stuff. And I'm sure Alex Rivera will agree. Through corners like Copse, Maggots and Beckett's, Chapel, you want to be moving the steering wheel no more than 25 degrees, 30 degrees if that. It's a flick, it's a smooth flick, and it's one that will get you around the corner. Any more than sort of 45 degrees of steering angle and you're scrubbing the fronts too much, you're scrubbing at the front end and they're degrading faster, you're putting a lot of lateral wear on them, and you're not actually achieving a lot of slip angle from the fronts. They're just understeering, they're just pushing the car on. Same too with the rears. Putting too much power down too quickly will spin the rears, they'll just abrase against the surface. Making sure you don't lock the car either, lock in the front, lock in the rears. So many different ways that you can save some tyre wear. So it's all about being smooth, but also by being smooth you're being fast, so you've really got to be careful as to how you drive the car and making sure that you've got that life left in your tyres, because the last thing you want is those final 5 laps, the crucial final 5 laps, to be driving on ice because you've shattered your tyres. Absolutely.
I agree with you. After that long, very instructional, what's the word I'm looking for?
Lecture?
I was going to say informative advice there, Zach.
Zach Sweeney coaching, ladies and gentlemen.
I fully agree with you. No, the thing is, though, with everything you've said, you're correct. You've got to be looking at the bigger picture, and Whitfield did get it down back below 3 seconds there, so I thought maybe we were going to start seeing a little bit of a comeback as MacFarlane goes very, very, unfortunately, a little bit deep into the loop there. That's allowed Kiko to get a little bit of a better run, and now is going to use the drive to pull herself in. It's down below 5 tenths, 4 tenths currently at the moment here as well, and going down further. But yeah, they've got to be careful. If you can save anything, in Whitfield's case, I want to see him leave it on the tarmac. I don't want to see him come off and think, oh yeah, I've left a bit. You know, don't do that. Don't do it. It's the championship final. Almost, you know, it's your final. It's your final round of the season. You've got a chance of winning the championship. Don't leave nothing on the tarmac. Just go out, flat out, wring the neck out of that F3 to the point of where it's squealing like a chicken in the back garden, and get it done, because you cannot be leaving it. If it means you've got to sit and hold your tyres for a lap or two before you go again, do the same thing, but don't leave it on the tarmac. Don't leave anything off that tarmac. You want to get it on that tarmac and get it all done in one go.
Yeah, again, as I say, looking back on things is the worst thing you can do. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, really, you know, you've left something, you've not gone for a move that maybe was on, maybe wasn't. Daniel Whitfield, what's the difference between first and third for him? Nothing. So send it, spin out. Like, at least you've gone for it. At least you've not left up to chance. At least you've not left it in your mind to eat away at you for the days to come. So you really have got to be careful. This is Ian Patience again, I think, having a little bit of a spin. This is through no, it's not. This is going through Copse. just getting the rear end out ever so slightly, putting over to the left-hand side of the circuit and out of this race. Ian Patience then having a DNF, and Modley's Kiko putting on some good pressure to Seth MacFarlane in the fight for the top 5. What can Kiko do on her advancements maybe to seeing herself ahead? This should be a good battle because these two seem fairly equal on pace.
Yeah, they definitely do, and I think at the end of the day that's what's going to really spur Kiko on. They've got to be able to, again, from Kiko's point of view, try and stay as close as she possibly can. You know, you don't want to be able to give MacFarlane any room whatsoever, so you've got to stay as close as you possibly can to him there and go for it as well. Don't forget she is out in front of MacFarlane and 121. She's only a couple of points away from Brooks, and you know, Brooks is up further up the road in 3rd place currently, so she really needs to clear MacFarlane to try and have a go at getting onto Kiko. And we've got a couple of people into the pits there. Whitfield's in now. Is this going to be the undercut? Oh no! Ooh, no, that wouldn't have worked. Just saying.
You're very critical of people's overtakes. You do like to sort of put your 2 pennies worth in. As Daniel Whitfield, speaking of coming in, is into the pit lane. We'll see what his pit stop time is relative to Mackenzie Roon as Modley's Kiko continues her battle with Seth MacFarlane for 5th place. So we're looking eagerly at that stationary time for Daniel Whitfield. 6.92 seconds stationary for Daniel Whitfield. But we're not just talking about the time spent stationary, we're talking about the total pit time as well, because you have to think, entering the pit lane, exiting the pit lane while you're in the pit lane, stopping in your pit box, all of those variables have margins of tolerance where if you brake too early for the pit lane, you're going to lose 5 seconds. If you brake too late for the pit lane, you're going to get a penalty. If you turn the pit limiter off too early, you're going to get a penalty. If you turn it off too late, you're going to lose time. If you overshoot your pit box, you've then got to stop, realise, reverse, get adjusted, stop, realise you're in the right places. Oh my word, Kiko battling on the limit of adhesion on the exit of the loop. But all those small little things that you would overlook as a pit lane can actually make the difference of half a second, a second and a half, 2 seconds maybe if it's quite severe. Such small things really do have a big knock-on effect if you get them wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what he doesn't, that's what Whitfield needed to get right. He needed to get that right. He's got to now go for it. He's got to quali, son. That's all you got to do. You've got a gap of about 17 seconds to the leader. Your pit lane time was about 37. It doesn't mean he's going to come out 20 seconds in front, guys. Be aware on that one. There are obviously other factors involved in that with the pit lane times. So he's going to be there or thereabouts. He wants to try and come out. If he's going to be able to get past him, he's got 2 options. He either wants to come out in front of Roon, or he wants to come out as physically close as he can out of that pit lane exit. He needs to be as close as he physically can possibly be to Roon coming out of that pit exit. Or get your quali laps on, get your head down, ignore everything and get on with it, and preferably stay away from that curb because that ain't going to help you. So, you know, they've got to be a little bit sensible here as well.
Yeah, really. Indeed, as I think Steph MacFarlane into the pit lane as well. But what's daunting for me is that Mackenzie Roon, each lap that he stays out longer than Whitfield, there's a lap less of fuel that he has to put back into the car, which means that his pit time stationary is going to be quite a little bit shorter, I think, than Daniel Whitfield. So Mackenzie Roon has played it fast, and he's actually been quite efficient on his fuel consumption. So maybe we might see a lack of hope for Daniel Whitfield for the final 11 and a half laps that we have left for this race. Mackenzie Roon has just been on fire from start to finish, it must be said. Well, start to present in this race. We've not quite got to the finish yet, but I'm sure it's not really going to be any blip in the usual order for Mackenzie Roon. He's just been on it, and this is the day that he really had to capitalise. This is the day that if you are going to be on it, it's the day to deliver. So Mackenzie Roon showed up to Silverstone even with the pressure on his shoulders, and he's shown that his composure's there and he's kept his cool.
Yeah, but don't forget last week at Laguna he was already checking out. You know what I mean? He was checking out at this point, and he was on his way to Silverstone. He could have 21 second gap back to into Laguna Seca. He had that opportunity, he was well away and gone with it. Michael Brooks is in now, so this is Whitfield's got to take Michael Brooks here. He's got to get this done currently at the moment, and he's got to get him in, done, round, past, whatever. He's got to get past him, and he needs to stay as close to Rune as possible. Rune's got somebody spinning in front of him there. That was Ian Rod. How close was Rune to that, and whether or not that's held him up here? There is Rune there. I think he's already passed it, to be honest, so he might not have actually held him up at all. So from his point of view, he was lucky on that one. But from Whitfield's point of view, the gap's now 28 seconds here. And he's got to try and close some of it up. He's on the borderline of whether or not he's going to be able to even be within a 2-second window. He needs to get closer. He needs to quali lap this car, because he needs, I think, to be realistically within a few seconds of Rune here, Zach. He needs to get that down to at least the very lowest of about a 26-second gap if he can, when Whitfield is going into that pit lane, because that will should bring them roughly side by side. I don't think 27 is enough. I think he needs to be down at least on the 26.5 gap.
I would be inclined to agree. On that last lap, a 151.7 for Mackenzie Rune, which is matching his best lap time this late on in the race. Finally into the pit lane, though, from Mackenzie Rune. So now we've got a direct comparison, a race against time between Whitfield and Rune. What has Whitfield got in the bag? If he's got anything, it's now time to use it. Get the track position and try and hold in front. I'm sure Daniel Whitfield is going to be kicking himself that he didn't try and hold on and fight harder a little bit earlier on. There is Mackenzie Rune, waiting for him to pull into his pit boxes all the way down at the end. Where is Whitfield?
Clumming in Cub.
Oh, well, I don't know. He's not going to be stopped for very long. 4, 5, 6, all back equal in the pit stop time. Only 1.1 seconds between the two of them. Out of the pit lane, where is Daniel Whitfield? Wow, he's nowhere to be seen.
Miles back. Miles back. I'm waiting for that time to settle down here, because he's obviously going to be on closing speed as well. Nearly 8 seconds, and he went in with a 3-second gap. Wow. Poor
run of outlaps, I think, from Whitfield. And maybe that's the nail in the coffin for his championship charge. And Mackenzie Rune has now taken the step up, and he might well take an easy victory in the championship. Not that it has been an easy season for him, let's not forget, but he waited so long for his first win, and then he's going to get, well, fingers crossed, tap wood, that he's going to get 2 in a row for Mackenzie Rune. We'll wait and see. That's what comes about from that. It's not been an easy season at all, but in terms of an easy championship finale, I think he couldn't really have asked for much better. But now, I think is the really difficult time for Mackenzie Rune, because in his head, it's like, okay, Whitfield is 8 seconds back. I'm in the lead. I've got the pole point. I've won the championship in his head. But does that, not as a driver sort of stay in the back of your mind? Does not eat you away? Do you not then start maybe getting complacent, led into a false sense of security? Maybe we could see Rune just throw it away because he feels so secure that he's won the championship. Well,
currently the state of affairs is this. Rune is on 155 if he takes the victory. Right, in the middle of this is Mr. Keane, who's going to be in second on 148. In third place on 145 is Michael Brooks and Daniel Whitfield. So, can it even go back to count back on wins here for third place? Currently, no, because it's 0 across the board. Can it go back on pole positions? I'm guessing that's going to be a 0 on the board. The average finishing positions, they're both the same at 4. And the average start positions, Michael Brooks is ahead on 3. So I don't know how far they're going to go back and what they're going to take into consideration here. But currently at the moment, Daniel Whitfield and Michael Brooks are in third place on 145. Don't forget, we've still got drop weeks to factor in as well after this race to see what happens. So it could be anybody's game further down here for third place, with Carson Keane sitting in second.
maybe so. What have we got? Around about 24-ish minutes left of racing action. Only a handful of laps left to go in this season. It has been a sensational season, it must be said. It's been action from start to finish, and while we have had sort of a mismatch in the championship with Alex Rivera missing some rounds, Carson Keane missing some rounds, we've not had that straight head-to-head. I don't think we've had a race where we've particularly been robbed of action. I think each and every single one of the rounds has had a memorable moment to call upon, and the venues themselves have actually been sort of second to none. Just looking at them, obviously there is quite a heavy North American contingent because of, well, it's a North American based championship. But the circuits that we went to, the Red Bull Ring, Donington Park, Road Atlanta, Gilles Villeneuve, Cota, Zandvoort, Laguna Seca and Silverstone. You know, pick 8 circuits and they are probably going to be 8 of the top ones that you managed to pick out.
Definitely. If you're going to pick a calendar, you might as well pick a calendar. You know, and they picked a barnstorming calendar for this season, so it's interesting to see what they're going to do next season for the calendar, to see how and what tracks they're going to pick. I don't know what they're going to be looking at availability wise. You know, please, 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 for the love of God, do not look at Chicago Street Circuit as a track. It's horrible. Please don't go there. But they've got Spa available that they didn't go to this year. Road America possibly be an option. Daytona Roval might be an option as well. Don't forget there's still Donny, Brands Hatch, Alton. Oh no, they went to Donny already this season. Brands Hatch, Alton might be an option, and if you really want to throw something interesting into the mix, you could chuck in Knock Hill just for the sake of it. But yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see what they're gonna do with tracks this season and for next season, because they've used some of the best ones in the first season. So, you know, be an interesting pick. Interesting pick, I think.
I think so. They did put out a questionnaire for the drivers to fill in and put their input on. We also got invited as commentators to fill it in. So obviously, I voted for Snetterton as one of the choices. In terms of track selection at the moment, we've got CGV, Brands Hatch, Zolder, Watkins Glen, Spa and Suzuka, Charlotte Roval for a night race at some point. And then, of course, the winner of the Season 1 Championship will be able to pick the 8th and final track of the championship. So I think that's a nice sort of added incentive for winning the championship, because not only do you walk away with 100 USD, which nice cash prize for essentially playing pretend race cars, can't complain. You also get a real world trophy, which I love the thought of having something tangible you can hold and a proper memento of what you've been able to do. But also for next season's implication, to pick a track that you're already notoriously strong at puts you at an advantage for at least 12.5% of the season already, purely because you've chosen a track that you can be strong at. So bit of added incentive for those that win the championship.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's the thing. You know, we've done it in the JPB Clio Cup. The winner of the overall picked the final round of the season in the Clio Cup. Now, don't forget, we've recognised Clios as primarily a short track race car, right? But I don't think watching a Clio for 9.5 minutes going around a Nordschleife is very interesting. So we whacked him on all short tracks, and the winner of the season picked Brands Hatch Indy to finish off the round 10. So Brands Hatch Indy will be the final round, and I think you've got to be looking at what the cars are designed for. Primarily open track racing. So what are your options from your track side of things that you've got left to pick that you haven't already been to? And there is a lot of good tracks that can be the final race of the season. And there's a lot of great ones on iRacing that doesn't always get picked and doesn't always get used. And we found one the other week on VIR South, and that was a great circuit. The likes of Imola, Interlagos, Monza, Brands Hatch, you know, you've got them all there ready to go. You can, even if you really fancy it, chuck it down at Spa or Magny-Cours. I wouldn't go to Le Mans. I find that very meh. You know, Gilles Villeneuve is another option as a circuit. Jerez, if you really want to finish off it as an interesting one. So there's lots of circuits there available to these drivers. And you can even, Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, Model East Kiko went for moving towards Cops Corner. Seth MacFarlane tried to get the up and under and was trying to stay with the
Yeah, Kiko
driver
was
from the UK. Oh, wow. Just too eager, I think. Too fast going into Maggots and Beckett's. And then the worst bit was his recovery. He spun the rear up trying to get it back onto the circuit. In doing so, spun the rear up trying to get it back onto the circuit. In doing so, spun the rear up trying to get back onto the circuit. 3 bad spins. His rear tyres are going to be shot, which isn't fun in of itself. And, well, now he finds himself out of a battle. Model East Kiko, she's come into the pit lane on this lap. Whether that's to owe us the pit stop time, no, because she's already done one. Did she pick up some damage in that fight with Seth MacFarlane that she has to come in and take her fast repair, maybe?
It's a possibility. There's a possibility, to be honest. No, it's a drive-through. Straight through. For Kiko.
Oh, that will be... She's been given 4... That's close. I think she's fine. She's been given 4 X's in that fight with Seth MacFarlane, and for those familiar with the season, 14 incident points is a drive-through, and then 19 in total beyond that is another one, and then 1 point after that is a straight disqualification. So the first 14 incident points around a circuit like Silverstone, so easy to get those off tracks, plus the 4X along the way for the contact. Very easy to get that first drive through. So Model East Kiko now finds herself locked back into a battle with Seth MacFarlane. But yeah, it is easily done, of course. You just have to be so careful of where you get those incident points, because off track 1x, off track 1x, loose control 2x, boom. All those small things very quickly add up, and 14 isn't that many.
No, and they're easily achievable, because you can only got to go wide here. And there's one. Done. Do you know what I mean? And then you do that for 7 laps, and you've got 7, and you've still got 4 laps, you know, before you know it, you've still got 19 laps to go here, and you've only got 10x to play with. You make contact, that's 4. That's 6 you've got left to play with. So, yeah, there's a lot of things involved here that these guys have got to be thinking about. You know, don't get me wrong, don't even get me started on the Red Bull ring. Gee whiz, you sneeze at a Red Bull ring and you get a 4x. So, you know, from their point of view, they've done pretty well just to get to that point, I think, with 4 laps remaining here as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do next year regarding the schedule. It's going to be interesting to see if people are going to put in and say, look, 14's a little bit tight, let's have 17, especially if you go to Spa. There's some wonderful off tracks at Spa that at some points you can't even believe they even are off tracks, but they are. But at the end of the day, you've got to look at the pros and cons of what you're going to do for the whole series and everybody involved in that series. You kind of don't want to be giving them 14 when you're at a circuit that's really tough on off tracks. You want to be giving them that leeway. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things for Brian to think about, and what he's going to do and how they're going to go forward. It's going to be an interesting one, I think.
I'll be honest, I agree with you. No, I don't. I do not agree with you. I'll be honest, because...
Oh, yeah, why?
Well, I have to say, 14 incident points is 14 incident points. It doesn't matter where you go. It's the same incident points. If you've got a problem with the off-track, use less of the track. I think it's as simple as that. I don't know. If iRacing says this is the boundary, everyone's got that same boundary. It's not like the Formula 1 games where it's like, oh, you're off the track, but you lift it off a little bit so you can have it. And then the other person... oh, you lifted off tough Tetris, you still get an instant point. iRacing is very consistent with it. So I think if everyone's in the same boat, I don't think there's any point in changing the incident limit, because simply just tell them to drive better. I don't know, maybe I'm just harsh, but yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't see the point in giving them leniency.
Wow. Don't let Zach be an admin, clearly.
I'm just saying, again, it's a championship, it's not a playground. If you want to give them leniency, you can go and tell them to have a lobby with no incident points turned on, and you can just, off you go, willy-nilly, cut the track as much as you like. They're in a championship, they're here for a competitive thing, they're fighting for 100 USD, and they're racing drivers at the end of the day. If they're able to keep it within the track limits, and they get to the end of the race and they've still got 6 incident points before the next drive-through, they're going to use those 6 incident points. They're going to run off the circuit. They're going to run off the circuit, they're going to gain time, they're going to use those incident points up. And if you give them more incident points to use, you're going to get more people exploiting that. So, yeah, I don't know. I think if everyone's in the same boat, then there's no point increasing it. Just tell them to get better. Yeah.
All right. Go IRL. No incident points, crest card, done.
Boom. Easy peasy.
Boom. There you go. Oh, look, Alex Rivera, much more lenient than an IRL racing series. Well, great minds think alike. Could do that. IRL, zero incidents. We're going to run full damage, full everything. You're going to have full IRL situation, and now show us how good at racing you are.
Yep. Off you go. And you have to pay a 10 grand fee each time you crash the car as well, just for...
Yeah, and unfortunately for the hypercar that I saw stack it in Le Mans today, I'm guessing that would have been a lot more than about a 10 grand fee.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yep.
So yeah, and he dragged the car back with a wheel pointed in the opposite direction, tethered to the car, mind you, and he got that car back into the pits. I'd be very surprised if they got him back out, but then again, they can work wonders, so I'm not going to say that the mechanics aren't going to be able to get that car back out, but yeah, it did look a little bit wrecked, I'm not going to lie. I think they hopefully want to be carrying a spare bonnet, because I don't think it had one of them either.
Who carries a spare bonnet? I mean...
Well, they've got to carry something. He didn't have one. He stacked it into the wall coming out of the turn 11 and 12 chicane down the Mulsanne at slow speed, spun up the back wheels and buried it into the barrier on the left hand side. Literally, the car was in pieces. He had the bonnet was sticking up in the air and it was bent as all over the place. It was a complete and utter hash of a car that was left of that car by the time he'd finished there. Good evening, John Higgins. Good evening. Phil across the pond. Boy, you're critical today, Zach.
Of course.
God,
I
you just did one
got
of
my
them.
opinions.
He's having one of them weeks, and you know what I mean? He's bless him.
Hang on, James, what do you think of blue flags?
Don't even get me started. I'm not
What do you think of lapped cars in multi-series, multi-class racing? What do you think of that, huh? What are your critiques?
Situation dependent.
Oh, he's actually kept it brief. Fair play to him.
No,
yeah.
You should have heard me earlier in the pack series. It wasn't brief. It wasn't brief when me and Dan were talking about it. But yeah, that's a different story altogether. You get me on them, you are in trouble. So unfortunately for that, well, you know, there's not a lot I can do. Opinions are opinions, and I accept your opinions and respect your opinions, and that's all we've got to do in the world.
As you should, because they're right. Anyway,
since when?
I am teetering on the edge of losing my job here, aren't
I? You're teetering on the edge of something. I don't know if you should P45, but you know, at the end of the day. Mr. Higgins, how are they racing in this heat? Well, some of these are from Canada and America. You've only got two from the UK currently here, Mr. Higgins. So the two from the UK are probably sat there with fans or something going on them. It's the same question. How... you know, how are me and Zach sitting here commentating? Was it your charity race this weekend, JP? Well, it is, and it's tomorrow, Mr. Higgins, at 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon. So if you'd like to come along, get yourselves involved already. We've got a £2,000 target for the charity race. We are already up to £1,000 and we're not even live. So, yeah, we're hoping for big things tomorrow as we've got the Big Dreams Little Voices. So that should be a good one.
Absolutely, can't wait to watch along. Obviously, getting the kids into the booth, I think, is going to be hilarious as it was.
Oh yes,
because they're very similar to me. They don't have a filter. They'll just ask the questions that no one else wants to ask. They'll give the opinions that no one else wants to give. So yeah, definitely tune in if you're free. And even if you're not free, have it on your phone. Have it as a hands-free while you're driving. Speaking of driving, speaking of the heat today, oh my word. It's not very often that I'm in just exclusively shorts and t-shirt because I like, you know, just I like wearing a hoodie. I just like having everything myself covered. It makes me feel more comfortable. But today I had no choice. Shorts, t-shirt. I got into my car. I grabbed my steering wheel, and it felt as if I just touched hot oil. It was scorching hot today. I was driving home. Again, I don't really like having the windows open when I'm driving because it's just so noisy and in your face. But I had to. So much heat in the UK today. And that is going to be a problem over the course of summer, I think. Not only in the real world, but in the sim racing world as well. You're sat next to a PC and a sim rig with a wheelbase pulling up 25 newton meters of torque, whatever it is. All them gears running together, all those mechanical bits causing friction, causing heat. You're going to be sweltering if you're sat in a sim rig for an hour race, 2 hour stint in an endurance race, sat there with your teammates for 3-4 hours of a race. It's going to be a tough summer for sim racing.
Well, it is. However, it is the final lap of the race here, and Mackenzie Roon is absolutely flying. He's just taken the white flag and is absolutely flying. So let's see how he gets on. He's got a few corners left of this track. Of course, he's got about 8 to be to be completely precise about it. So yeah, it's been an absolutely stellar job by Mackenzie Roon. Again, as we said at the beginning, you let him get out in front. As the saying goes, you give him an inch, and Mackenzie Roon took a mile.
Well, he's taken a lot more than that over the course of the last 2 races between Laguna Seca and Silverstone. You couldn't get 2 more polar opposite circuits in the world of sim racing, and Mackenzie Roon has conquered them both. He's got about a quarter of a lap left to go to see himself crowned the victor of the final race and crowned himself the victor of the championship as well. He waited all season for that first win at the penultimate round at Laguna Seca, and you wait long enough for 1 bus and 2 come at once. Mackenzie Roon just 3 corners away from his second victory and to become the inaugural champion of the Sim Racing for Simpletons Formula 3 Championship. He ends it off in style. He ends it 17 seconds clear of Daniel Whitfield. Mackenzie Roon sees the checkered flag first and is victorious in Silverstone. He takes home 100 USD. He takes home the trophy, and he gets to choose one of the tracks for season 2 to come. Daniel Whitfield, it was a valiant effort, but not quite up to the standard that Mackenzie Roon had set. His family cheered him on, and it's good enough for second for the 64. Michael Brooks with a sensational run of form, despite being tagged on the final lap of the, or on the first lap of the race, all the way to the final lap, clawing his way up to third, and with only 3 seconds to Daniel Whitfield. Brian Long ends off the season with his best result so far. Lucas Finko, the top 5 as well. What a season it's been, and wow, what a way for Mackenzie Roon to round it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Pole, win, champion. There we go. Now, I've probably said that, and I should have probably waited for the officials to come out and give me the actual thing out of iRacing, but I've got this funny feeling that's going to be how it is going to be finishing here as well. So from Mackenzie Roon's point of view, congratulations. If anything changes, we apologise. But I've got a funny feeling, even with the drop weeks added, he will still be a champion. I will keep a close eye on the standings, as we can see Kiko go across the line, and then we've got Seth MacFarlane coming over as well. Job done. Job's a good one for all of these cars. Here's Zach, and for the final time this season, but there's the results.
Well, yeah, as happy as I am to finally see it conclude, again, I'm equally as sad to see the fact that it has to end. We finally get the closure. Mackenzie Roon is the winner, and at face value, as it stands, he is champion. Daniel Whitfield and Michael Brooks join him on the podium. A valiant effort from all of them involved. Brian Long, Lucas Finko, the top 5 with Model-E's Kiko, a good run in 6th. A fight with Seth MacFarlane all the way to the end sees him in 7th with Ian Rude, Ian Patience, 8th and 9th, and Carl Matheson rounding off the 10-car field that we had here today. Well, we have got a couple of people lined up in the interviews. I can see Anna Brooks in the YouTube chat as well. So not only have we got the Whitfield family, we've also got the Brooks family coming in to play as well. We'll drag in Model-E's Kiko, I think, for our first interview of the evening. At the moment, she has got herself deafened and muted, so we'll wait and see her. Here she is, of course. Model-E's Kiko, hello, welcome back to the interview room. Talk us through your race, but more importantly, talk us through your season. How have you found getting to grips with SR4S?
I feel like I've got a curl right in the middle of my forehead. Because when it was good, it was very, very good. And when it was bad, horrid. Yeah, no, it's been a good season. I've enjoyed the season. This was really the first time I've done F3 for a whole season, and it was an experiment to see if I could, focus in on the car and do that as a car. Seems to have gone reasonably well. This race notwithstanding.
Yeah, well, again, it's been a valiant effort from you, it must be said. I mean, you had your highs. I think you did manage to get a podium at some point throughout the season, did you not?
Yes, I think I got a podium, and there was, can't remember where it was now.
It was one of the circuits.
P4, P3. Yeah, one of those, the racing.
One of the 8s, yeah, the things that we go to race these pretend race cars at. But looking forward, are we going to see you back for next season? I mean, it must be said that you've got to be hungry for more. Maybe some more podiums, and maybe another trip. Maybe we could see Snetterton on the circuit on the calendar.
No, look, we had Donington and Silverstone. We don't need to punish me anymore. yeah. I mean, I'm happy to come back next season. I hope I've got the space for it. I've got a few things on this summer, as everyone does. But yeah, I am looking forward to having the opportunity to come back and get a few podiums extra under my belt. You know, show Daniel a thing or two about how to drive, because he keeps beating me, but I keep thinking I can do it this time, and it hasn't happened yet. But
Well, speaking of how much you just hate Donington, I just would like to put it out because James just messaged me and said that you finished third at Donington, so have that. But before we let you go, Mods,
And also, I'd like to point out, just before you say anything else, young Zachary, you got a second at Road Atlanta. Just saying.
oh, 2 podiums as well. Look at you go, Modley's Kiko. Well, speaking of then, you must have a lot of fans you want to give a shout out to while you're in the broadcasting booth?
Today I'd like to give a shout out to Matty. Matty is in every single stream in the universe simultaneously. And he was in mine today. So thanks, Matty, for saying hello and keeping me company.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you back in a few weeks' time when we kickstart season 2.
All right, take care.
Awesome. And you. Bye-bye. Modley's Kiko, ladies and gentlemen, a multiple-time podium scorer throughout the season. We'll bring in Michael Brooks into the broadcasting booth. And, well, Michael, hello. Welcome in, of course. I can't actually recall any time that you've joined us in the interview room, so better late than never, I suppose. You've ended off the season quite well. A podium, it must be said, but a bittersweet one at that. Maybe this race didn't quite go the way that you'd have hoped.
No, it was all right. I was a little sloppy in the first couple turns there, pushed off Brian, and then I think Brian was off the line, lost some traction, and then a little bit of an incident. But it made it a fun race, catching back up through the field, and then just persisting through the race without getting any off tracks. But yeah, bittersweet ending for sure. I'd say more sweet than that, but yeah, it's been a good season.
Has been indeed. We just got confirmation actually that there is a 3-way tie between yourself, Daniel Whitfield and Carson Keane for second place. Obviously, we're just confirming the tiebreaker rules. You're all on 148 as it stands. That must be a very interesting way for you to end off the season with, well, finishing second alongside 3 other drivers.
Yeah, we'll wait for the final results of it, but yeah, that's crazy chances for that happening.
Yeah, well, crazy chances. Well, you've all put the work in over the course of the season. Have you enjoyed this season? Have you felt like you fulfilled your goals? Did you get what you wanted out of the 8 weeks?
Absolutely. This was my first league that I've participated in, and overall, I just wanted to see how I met up against the field, and overall, just get the feel of it. So I'd say it was a success all around.
Awesome stuff. Well, before we let you go, of course, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to while you're in the broadcast booth?
Oh, yeah, saying hello to my wife, my mom and grandma, Privyet mama, and anybody else that's decided to click the link that I sent out. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
The Brooks fan club. Absolutely love it. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Michael. Hopefully we'll see you back for season 2.
All right. Thank you guys. Bye.
Awesome stuff. Michael Brooks joining us. He was a part of a 3-way tie for second place, which you are getting confirmation of. Another man involved in that 3-way tie, though, Daniel Whitfield. Welcome in. Of course, it's not quite the championship that maybe you were holding out on a whim of winning here in Silverstone. A 3-way tie for second place that we're just waiting on confirmation as to who's where in that order. But a good season, it must be said, for you as a whole. I think you've boasted some good results. Not quite able to seal the win, but a couple of good podiums throughout the season.
Well, it was just crazy. I was always in this weird 4th place point, like a bit faster than the midfield, but nowhere near the guys in front. And whenever the guys in front had a bit of a bad race or they weren't there, I could slip in and pick up the points. If I didn't make some stupid mistakes, I made some stupid errors.
Yeah, a couple of small things here and there, but at least you had the cheering on of your entire family tree in the YouTube chat. Surely that's got to be.
I'm so grateful for them. They've given me so much support. My mum, my dad, my nephew, my sister, and especially my wife Shayla. She puts up with all of this, and she's so supportive with it. She's cheering me on. My entire family, they're fantastic. I can't get over how much I appreciate them and how much I could feel their support. Do you know what I mean? It was great. It was fantastic. And I've enjoyed this season so much. I can't wait for the next one.
Absolutely. Well, it is good that we touch on looking forward to season 2. Are we expecting more from Daniel Whitfield? Are we seeing maybe him to train up over the off season and give the family championship?
Absolutely. The amount that I've proved in this car, and I was just saying in the waiting room that when I used to practice, I used to switch between cars. I'd do a couple of laps in one car, then I'd go to a Formula One car, then a GT3, then maybe the Indy car. I'd never focus on one thing. But this season, I've been driving nothing but the F3, nothing but doing lap after lap after lap for the next race. And the improvement that it's shown me, it's taught me what the top guys are doing, like what's needed to get to the top. And you've got to focus on just the one thing. And so next season, it's going to give me much more time because the car was relatively new to me. So there we go. There's my excuse.
The excuse, none for next season. We're wiping the slate clean. There's none of this. Oh, the sun was in my eyes. The car's not tuned up right. None of that. We're going to see Daniel Whitfield, and we're going to see him charging on for the championship. Well,
absolutely.
You've already done it, but is there anyone you give a shout out to in the YouTube chat?
No, just my family again. Thank you guys for watching. I love you all. And you guys have done a fantastic job. Like, the commentary is so entertaining.
I'd like to point out,
Brian, this has been great, mate. It's been my first league, so thanks for putting this all together.
Right, just before you go, Daniel, as well, the final standards have come out. The countbacks have been taken into consideration. Mackenzie is in first. Carson is in second. You finished third place.
Oh, brilliant. That's not too bad. That's all right. I'm happy with that.
And Michael Brooks was fourth. It went back to the fact that you had an average finishing position of third place across the season.
Brilliant. Hey, that's not too bad. I'm happy with that. There was a great fight going on between me and Michael throughout the season. One time he'd have the front, and then it would be me. Oh, brilliant! That's good news. Thank you.
No worries.
You've done the job, mate. You've done the driving. But thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you back for season 2.
Hey, cheers, guys. See you later.
See you later. Daniel Whitfield, third place in the championship, the first championship of the sim racing for simpletons. We've got one final interview for you guys. We've got Mackenzie Roon. Wow, Mackenzie, the last 2 rounds couldn't really have gone better for you, and you've ended the season on the highest of highs, winning the championship. Well done.
Thank you. I don't really feel like I won it. It's a shame Alex and Carson couldn't have been here today, but definitely fought hard either way, and it was a lot of fun. Great first season. This is my first F3 season, so it was a lot of fun.
Great way to kick things off then, winning the championship on your first outing. Looking forward to obviously season 2. Do we expect you back? Do we expect you hungry to, as you say, maybe prove yourself with Carson Keane and Alex Rivera here on a regular basis? Do you want to see what you can do, maybe if prove to yourself that you can win it?
Absolutely. Looking for everybody to rejoin next season. I'll definitely be back. Hopefully we can expand the league a bit and get some more competitors up front for some good racing. A lot of times it felt like we were chasing down Alex and Carson the whole time, so it'd be a lot of fun to have a big pack up front.
Indeed so. Well, fingers crossed, and the prospects for season 2 are very, very exciting. So hopefully we will see you back. Before we let you go, though, of course, is there any Mackenzie Roon fans out there in the wild world of the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel? Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to while you're here?
Yeah, maybe just one, my brother. So, hey, Terry, how's it going? Hope everything's well out there.
Awesome stuff. Well, Mackenzie Roon, very well done for your championship, and we look forward to seeing you back to your winning ways in season 2.
Thank you very much, sir.
Awesome stuff. Mackenzie Roon, the championship winner for the sim racing for simpletons. He called me sir as well. How lovely of him. I've never been called sir before. Anyway, James, it must be said that you did join us quite late on in the season, obviously for Laguna Seca, but the 2 rounds that you did see, I don't really think you were disappointed all too much.
No, definitely not. I think it's been an epic ending to the season, and one that we're going to obviously be looking forward to into next season. Don't forget, the top 3 of this season do receive trophies that we will supply for them as well. So Mackenzie Roon, Carson Keane and Daniel Whitfield, if you can all just DM Brian your addresses, and we will sort out trophies that we will send out to you guys as well, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So we'll get them all sorted out as well. So it's been absolutely amazing, and one that I'm looking forward to for next season.
Bring it on. The Sim Racing for Simpletons, ladies and gentlemen. The first ever season has taken part all the way back since April 22nd when we took to the Red Bull Ring. We've battled our way around the globe. We've shared so many fantastic memories, and we thank you at home watching along on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel as well. We invite you to like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications to not miss a thing that comes your way in terms of sim racing, and to not miss when the second season of this brilliant championship gets itself underway. We'll update you with news if/when we get it in the coming moments. But from myself, Zach Sweeney, I've had the boss man himself, James Parfitt, alongside me in the commentary booth. And well, we give a massive thank you to the Sim Racing for Simpletons for hosting us as their broadcast provider. It's been a stellar season. And well, I couldn't really think of many better things to occupy my Saturday evenings with. But thank you everyone for watching along. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.